Hi, and welcome to Straight to the Points. I'm your host, Courtney. I'm here to help you take your family on amazing vacations for almost free with the help of credit card points and miles. I'm a mom and primary care physician, and I believe that travel is an important way to restore, connect, and celebrate. This podcast is designed for busy people who want to learn how to take unforgettable trips with minimal out-of-pocket cost and don't want to devote a ton of time to figuring out the world of points and miles. I'll get you your first trip booked in just a few months. Let's get straight to the points. Hi, and welcome to Straight to the Points. Today I'll be talking about how to get the best value when booking hotels on points. Booking hotels on points is a great way to get started with using your points. Generally, it's simpler than booking flights because there are fewer variables to consider. So it's a great way to kind of dip your toes in and make your first points booking. Once you book your first trip, you'll feel more confident and ready to take on more points bookings. Many trips start with a specific destination in mind. Flights are planned first and hotels come next. There are some trips where the resort itself is the destination, and with those, I typically book the hotel and then plan the flights. Either way you're doing it, let's talk about some ways that you can maximize your points and get great value for hotel bookings. Let's talk about the different ways that you can use points to book a hotel. The first is transferring points to hotel partners. This would be similar to when you transfer points to a specific airline to book a flight. Examples would be transferring Citi Thank points to Choice and then booking through Choice directly. Transferring Bilt Points to Hyatt and booking with Hyatt directly. This is done through the credit card app. So if you're using Bilt, for example, you would go to the Bilt app and then transfer out to a hotel partner. One word of caution with this is you do not want to do a test transfer. It's often tempting once you find the hotel of your dreams and the dates that you want to link the accounts together. So for example, linking your Bilt account to your Hyatt account and then transferring over 1,000 points, say, to make sure the transfer works and the points hit. Doing this risks that when you do your actual transfer, it will be flagged as fraud. I'm not saying that would happen every time in that scenario, but it's definitely a good idea to avoid doing a test transfer. Just transfer the full number of points that you need to make that booking, and then you don't risk your account being frozen. The next way to book hotels on points would be using points earned with a specific hotel brand from spending on a hotel co-branded credit card or from staying in hotels with that brand. For example, I have a Hyatt co-branded credit card through Chase, and so with my spending on that credit card, I earn Hyatt points and then can use those Hyatt points to book a hotel through Hyatt. You can also earn points from staying with that brand. So anytime you're paying for a hotel in cash, you should make sure that you have a loyalty account and that you are then earning points for any cash paid stays. Another way to book hotels on points is using free night certificates. These are essentially coupons or vouchers that can be used to redeem a free night stay. The different hotel programs all have their own version of this, and the rules vary between the different brands. For example, with Hilton, the free night certificates are incredibly valuable because they're uncapped. You can stay at a hotel using a free night certificate regardless of how expensive that hotel is in either cash or points. There are also free night certificates through other brands that are either capped at a certain points amount, like Marriott, or with Hyatt, they will have a specific category of hotel that you can use it for. So for example, the category 1 through 4 free night certificates can be used for those lower end hotels that are generally lower in points to book. Free night certificates are a great way to save a ton on bookings, and you can combine those with points bookings to get more for your points. Another way to book hotel stays on points is to utilize portal bookings. These are great when you're staying at a hotel brand that's not one of the big chains and you want to still use points for that booking. You can also use card-specific credits, like for example, the Venture X through Capital One has a $300 credit for bookings through their portal. The Chase Sapphire Preferred has a $50 credit for bookings through their portal, so you can utilize those credits by booking through a portal. And most of the time you can choose to pay with cash and points to get your credit value and then use points for the rest. Another example of a portal that you can book hotel rooms with points is Rove. You can either book hotels in cash and earn increased points multipliers, so earn a lot of points for a booking, or you can use Rove miles to book a hotel. Another way to book using points, or sort of using points, is if you have a credit card that gives you certain credits towards hotel stays. Many of the different higher end travel credit cards come with these credits, and you book with cash and then get a refund of a certain amount. So for example, with the Chase Sapphire Reserve, they have a program called the Edit, where if you stay 2 nights at a specific hotel that they've picked, you can get cash off each night of your stay. Those are limited to 2-night stays, which makes it a little bit harder to use, and the total number of hotels that are under the Edit program are pretty low. So I find that credit pretty tricky to use. The American Express Platinum comes with a similar credit that's for either Fine Hotels and Resorts, which is another hotel collection. And also, in addition to the Fine Hotels and Resorts, they have another group of hotels called Hotel Collection, where you can get the credit there, but you have to stay for 2 nights. Lots of other credit cards come with various credits towards cash hotel bookings. So while those aren't points bookings exactly, they are ways that you can use your credit cards to earn money off your hotel stay. There is a way in many cases to pay part in cash and part using points so that you can have the cash portion of the stay refunded with that credit and then use points for the rest. These tend to be higher end hotels in general. So there's your basic different ways to book hotels with points. You can transfer points to partners, use points that are already earned through a specific hotel brand, free night certificates, bookings through a portal, and then booking with cash and using those cash credits related to specific credit cards. When I have a specific destination in mind for a trip, I will often use rooms.arrow as my starting point to look for hotels in that area. If I know I'm going to a certain city or area, I go to rooms.arrow and then look at the map view. This will show you hotels through Hyatt, Hilton, Marriott, IHG, and Choice. It is missing some of the brands, but it gives you a pretty good overview of what hotels are available. And the map view makes it really easy to kind of quickly screen and see which hotels you might be interested in booking for that trip based on location. So I'll typically start there, and then based on what's available, I'll go to the different program apps or websites and look at the points cost for those specific hotels. Let's dive in a little bit to some of these main hotel programs that you can use with transferring points out. So hotels that you can book using your transferable points by transferring them out to a hotel partner. These are the bigger hotel chains in general. I'll talk a little bit about each program. I'll go through some of the pros and cons of booking with each program and situations where you might want to pick one program over another. And then we'll talk about the order of operations that I use to decide where to stay when I have a trip planned. I'll start with Hyatt. If you've listened to previous episodes, you know Hyatt has been in the points and miles world news quite a bit lately. And that's because they very recently shook up their award chart. Previously, Hyatt was my absolute number one first go-to wherever I was traveling. So if I was planning a trip and there was a Hyatt where I wanted to be, I booked the Hyatt, and it was really that simple. Now, because of the award chart changing, there's still great value in the Hyatt program, especially at the lower tier hotels. But when it comes to the more high-end hotel bookings, the pricing is going to be very variable. So it's going to be a lot more points on peak days where travel is in high demand in that specific area, and it will be a lot more reasonable during off-peak times. With this consideration, Hyatt is no longer the automatic yes with regards to points bookings. It's just one of the ones that you have to consider and then look at the other programs as well. So with Hyatt, they have lots of benefits where they do reward loyalty quite a bit. They also have really consistent quality, so it's still a great contender when booking with points. They also do have a great calendar view where you can look at the points price for a given hotel and see how it will change based on dates. So you could, for example, look at a calendar for June and see that the hotel that you want is priced pretty low at one part of the month and then priced higher at a different part of the month. If your dates are flexible, that can make it really helpful to find when it would be the least expensive in points to stay at a particular hotel. Hyatt also has a great map view in their app, and this is wonderful for more open-ended trips. For example, you could be thinking, what's a warm location I could go for a domestic trip in February? And then look at that map view and kind of come up with some different ideas. So that's a great way I like to look for ideas of where to go if I don't have a specific destination in mind. Hyatt also has some great perks if you have loyalty with them. For staying with them, you earn things like club access awards, where you can get into the club lounges at various hotels, which comes with free food and drinks in many cases, free breakfast. For loyalty, you also can earn suite upgrade awards, so can book a regular room and then apply an award to stay in a suite. Hyatt stays can be booked by transferring points from either Chase or Bilt. Next up is Hilton. Hilton is a great hotel program for a few reasons. They have a 1-to-2 transfer ratio with Amex, meaning if you transfer 1,000 Amex points, you get 2,000 Hilton points. That sounds amazing, but Hilton points bookings do tend to be higher in terms of the number of points, so it's not as incredible as it sounds. Amex will sometimes have transfer bonuses to Hilton, and that can make transferring points a lot more lucrative. If you have status with Hilton, you can get the 5th night free when booking with points. This can make Hilton a great option. You can get status by either holding several of the Hilton co-branded credit cards. You can also get Hilton status by holding the Amex Platinum. With taking that into account, a stay of 5 nights or more, you can really get a pretty good value with Hilton stays. The other really cool thing about Hilton is that they have free night certificates that are completely uncapped. Certain Hilton credit cards will give you free night certificates, either as part of a sign-on bonus when they're having an elevated sign-up bonus offer. So you get some points and a free night certificate. Some of the Hilton co-branded credit cards also give you a free night certificate every card member year. These can be incredibly valuable because no matter the cash or points price of the specific room that you want to book, as long as it's a standard room, you can apply that free night certificate. These can be super helpful if you're doing more aspirational stays, like, for example, the Conrad Bora Bora, where the points price and the cash price are extremely high. You can combine these things together. So you could book a 5-night stay and get your 5th night free, and then you could book a 6th night using a free night certificate, for example. I think of Hilton as the most valuable for these really expensive aspirational stays. That's where Hilton tends to be one of the better options, especially with the changes to Hyatt. For the more high-end stays, Hilton definitely makes sense. With these free night certificates, you do want to make sure you have a plan for them. You have to use them within a year of earning them. So it's not a good idea to open a Hilton co-branded credit card and not really have an idea of how you want to use your certificates, because you definitely don't want them to go to waste. Another great program that you can transfer points to is IHG. They also have a similar thing to Hilton, where with IHG, you get the 4th night free when you have status with the brand. And similarly, you can get this by holding many different credit cards through IHG. One of the other unique things about IHG to remember is that buying points through IHG when they are having one of their deals or sales on points can be a good option. They will have deals where you get a 100% bonus on points purchased. And especially if you have a specific stay in mind and you don't have quite enough points to make that booking, buying points when they're on sale is a great way to top off so that you have enough points for your stay. Next up is Choice. This program, Choice Privileges, includes brands you probably heard of like Comfort Inn, Clarion, Radisson. In general, these are more budget-friendly hotels, And you also can use choice points to book at many of I Prefer hotels. That's a collection of about 700 independent hotels, and some of those are higher end properties. So there is quite a range of different properties that you can book with choice points. In general, if a specific I Prefer hotel has the ability to book through choice, that is the better option versus booking through the I Prefer program directly. Some of the areas where there are great options to book hotels with choice points are Norway, Sweden, Denmark, and Finland. If you have a trip planned to that area of the world, I strongly suggest looking into choice points. Choice points can be obtained by holding a choice credit card, of course, and you can also transfer points from Citi Thank, Wells Fargo, Capital One, and Amex. I do not recommend transferring Capital One points or Amex points to choice. The reason for that is that Citi Thank points and Wells Fargo points are at a 1-to-2 ratio, meaning if you transfer 1,000 Citi Thank points, you get 2,000 choice points. Capital One and Amex, the ratio is only 1-to-1, so not a great value for your points in those cases. Citi actually recently changed this from a 1-to-4 ratio, which was amazing, down to the 1-to-2, which is still a good value. Keep choice in mind and look for those I Prefer hotels, especially that can be booked with choice points. I have not personally booked an I Prefer hotel through choice yet. I do hear that the process can be a little bit clunky, so you have to have some patience, but there is incredible value to be had with this program. Definitely something to keep in mind. Marriott is another brand that can be booked with points that many people are familiar with. Marriott is nice because it has some great options for more budget-friendly stays that are still really high-quality establishments, and then some really awesome higher-end properties as well. Marriott includes brands like Staybridge Suites, for example, and commonly a lot of airport hotels will be Marriott brand. These are great for if you're booking a repositioning flight and you're flying to, say, New York City, staying overnight in an airport hotel, and then flying out to somewhere international the next day. They've also got the Ritz-Carlton brand and St. Regis brand, which are wonderful higher-end properties that you can book with Marriott points. The most important thing to remember with Marriott is that it's usually not a good idea to transfer your transferable points to Marriott. You can do this, but in general, your transferable points are going to be higher value than Marriott points. So unless there's a transfer bonus, and honestly, even if there's a transfer bonus, I would still think twice about this. You probably don't want to transfer any of the transferable points currencies to Marriott. It's better to earn Marriott points directly, either by staying in Marriott properties or getting a Marriott co-branded credit card. So if you are into the Marriott program, definitely look into the options for their credit cards and think about earning Marriott points that way. Last but certainly not least is Wyndham. This program is pretty new to the points and miles world and definitely up and coming, one that I would strongly consider booking. Wyndham points can be transferred from Capital One, from Citi, Bilt, Chase, and Wells Fargo. They're all at a 1-to-1 ratio except for Wells Fargo points. That's a 1-to-2 ratio. Wyndham is newer as a transfer partner for many of these programs, and so there's not as much information about Wyndham booking with points as some of the other programs because this is newer to the points and miles scene. Wyndham has a lot of different brands. It includes Travelodge, which are properties that often have kitchenettes or kitchens, which is great if you're on a budget and traveling with a family. It also includes more budget hotels like Super 8, and then some higher end properties such as the Wyndham Grand and Registry Collections. One of the best parts of Wyndham, it has the most straightforward award chart of any of the hotel programs. Hyatt does have an award chart, but it's super complicated and there's a huge range of points prices within each property. Wyndham, super straightforward. There are only 3 different pricing tiers for these hotels. Wyndham properties on points are going to be either 7,500, 15,000, or 30,000 points per night. That's it. No dynamic pricing where on high demand nights, the points price is much higher. You're just going to pay one of those 3 amounts. Love the simplicity of this. You can also use Wyndham Points to book multi-bedroom accommodations at Wyndham Vacation Club properties. This includes Club Wyndham, World Mark by Wyndham, and Shell Vacation Club locations. These multi-bedroom accommodations are 7,500 points per night per bedroom. So for example, a 2-bedroom villa at a Wyndham Vacation Club would be 15,000 points per night. That is a steal. And again, people aren't talking about this program as much or booking with it as much yet because it's newer to the points scene. But there is incredible value to be had here. I am definitely thinking about looking into locations for these Wyndham Vacation Club bookings to be able to book 2-bedroom villas at an incredible price. The other really cool thing about Wyndham is that they also have all-inclusive properties, and they're pretty nice. And those all-inclusive properties can be as low as that 30,000 points per night. To pay only 30,000 points a night and have that include food and beverages, fantastic deal. Definitely a program that I'm looking to get into, especially with the changes to Hyatt recently. All of these hotel brands that you can book by transferring from a transferable points currency have their own co-branded credit cards. Quick note about co-branded cards. They can be awesome. They can be a great way to earn points. I have some and will eventually get more. But co-branded cards generally aren't a great place to start your points journey. You really want to start with transferable points that you can use to book through many different programs. Now more than ever, you really want to consider being a free agent when it comes to hotels and not focusing on a specific hotel brand. This is, in my opinion, the best strategy for beginners because if you are looking to book a full trip on points in the near future and get started with that, earning transferable points will allow you to book both hotels and flights with the same points. That lets you get your first trip booked as soon as just a few months after starting this hobby once you open a card and earn a sign-on bonus. If you start with a co-branded card, you're earning one specific type of point and you can only book through that one program. Transferable points have the power of flexibility, which is so important. If you're a relatively occasional traveler and you're not frequently booking your own hotels, for example, for work trips, or not traveling a huge portion of the year, it probably at this point makes more sense to not focus super hard on one hotel program and just have an open mind, look at all the options when you're booking a certain place, and find the hotel that meets your needs the best. Start out that way. Then, if you fall in love with a specific program and want to get a co-branded card, go for it. It's just not where I recommend starting out. Also, with these co-branded cards, be patient. I strongly suggest waiting for elevated offers with free night certificates for these co-branded cards. Many of these cards will have times where they'll have an elevated sign-on bonus, and the sign-on bonus will include a free night certificate or multiple free night certificates. That's really where you get the best bang for your buck, getting those and some points for a sign-on bonus. If you know, for example, that you want to get a Hilton co-branded card, I would not do that until they're having an elevated offer that gets you one of those free night certificates. So be patient with these. I also strongly recommend having a specific trip in mind when you sign up for one of these co-branded cards with the free night certificates. So for example, I'm thinking about maybe booking the Marriott Swan or Dolphin at Disney World for our next Disney trip. If I see that one of the Marriott cards has a sign-up bonus with free night certificates that would work at those properties, I'm going to jump on that as long as there's not something else in my credit card plan. Right now, I kind of know what my next 2 cards are going to be. So even though Marriott recently had that elevated offer, I didn't jump on it right now. But the next time it comes around, I probably will. The reason that you want to have a trip in mind when you're earning these free night certificates is that you have to use them within a year in general. And so you don't want to go to all this work to earn a free night certificate and then not be able to use it. Quick aside for hotel bookings, I'll put a link in the show notes to this specific resource. Katie's Travel Tricks has an awesome resource that shows European hotels that sleep a family of 4. If you've been to Europe, you know that often the occupancy for hotel rooms in a lot of places in Europe is only 2 or sometimes 3 people. which can mean that a family of 4 often has to book 2 rooms at every hotel. That can add up quickly. This site has a map view of places that can hold a family of 4 in their rooms. So I find that a really helpful resource to look at when you're thinking about which hotel you might want to book in a specific location. Here's how I think about booking a hotel. I start, number 1, with looking if I have any free night certificates that I need to use. I prioritize using those first because they expire. If I've got a hotel option in the area I'm going where I can use a free night certificate, I'm booking with that. If I'm looking at a shorter stay of just a few nights, I next will look at any credits that need to be used. Based on what credit cards you hold, you've got credits through either Fine Hotels and Resorts, the Edit, the Bilt Hotel credit, and many, many more. Lots of credit cards come with these credits. I, in general, think about these for shorter stays because the way to use them is typically paying with cash and then getting a refund for a certain amount, like $200 or $300. So for a really long stay, I'd rather book with points outright, but for just a couple of nights, I'll look and see if I have any credits to use that would make sense. Next, if I'm looking at a longer stay or if I don't have any free night certificates or credits to use, next I look at what chain hotels are available to book with transferable points. A great way to get an overview of this is rooms.arrow, as I mentioned previously. So it'll show you an awesome map view of the main hotel brands that you can book with transferable points. An important thing to know, though, is that this does not include Wyndham. And as I explained, Wyndham is a program that you do not want to sleep on. If you use this map, just remember Wyndham is not included and you should separately look at Wyndham options. Once I kind of see what hotel brand options are available in the area I'm traveling, I will look at what points I have, where I can transfer those, and then which points I'm willing to part with. For example, I might have a whole bunch of Chase points, but I might be saving those for something specific and might be looking to only use my Amex points, which then means I'm limited to the brands that Amex transfers to. Once I do that and find a few options, I'm then going to the specific hotel brand sites and doing searches to see the exact points prices for the dates I'm looking at and then comparing to each other. If I'm finding what I want there, I go ahead and book through that specific partner. If I'm not finding what I want at the points price that I want, either because I'm looking at an area that doesn't have any of those chain hotels really, or if the points prices aren't what I want to pay, I'll then think about portal bookings. These are the most valuable for areas where there aren't major chain hotels. This is sometimes in areas of national parks, sometimes in just more remote areas in general. Booking through a portal can allow you to use card-specific credits like the Venture X credit, the Chase Sapphire Preferred credit, or can allow you to earn more points through a cash booking. For example, when we stayed in the Adirondacks recently, I booked through the Chase portal because none of the hotels in the area we needed to be were any of the chain hotels, and none of the hotels in that area were eligible to use Fine Hotels and Resorts or the Edit or the Bilt Hotel credit. So I booked with cash through the Chase portal and just earned more points. Another program to keep in mind for this is Rove. Rove miles are awesome. With Rove, you can earn a ton of points by booking with cash through their portal. It's really variable between hotels, but you'll often see multipliers of 3, 6, 10 points per dollar spent for many hotels. And then for a select few hotels, they will have crazy multipliers like 15, 25, 30 points per dollar spent. So for certain hotel bookings, if you find the right one in the right area, you can earn a huge amount of points by booking with cash through Rove. Once you earn Rove miles by doing those cash bookings or purchasing through their shopping portal, you can then use Rove miles to book hotels. Look for my referral link to Rove in the show notes to get started with that program. Super valuable way to earn and redeem points. If all else fails, if you aren't able to get what you want through any of those methods I just mentioned, say the hotel that you want isn't even in the portals, which can happen. When I was recently booking hotels for Germany, I ran into this. We're staying down in Bavaria mostly, in little teeny tiny German towns that are mostly just little independent hotels. They all look super charming and I'm really excited to stay there, But the downside is that there's no chains and those hotels aren't even available to book in portals. I looked at all of them, Bilt, Rove, all of them. So when all else fails, you can book through Expedia or another booking site like that through Rakuten. I was able to do this for the Germany trip when Expedia was 10x on Rakuten by going to Rakuten first, clicking to Expedia, and then making the booking that I wanted to do, booked with cash, and then I'm earning 10 times the points on that cash booking. That's in addition to the points that I earn through the credit card that I made the purchase with. So don't forget that if you have to use cash, find a way to earn extra points by doing it. Sometimes too, there'll be other situations where you want to book with cash, even if there is an option to book with points. I'll give you an example. Last year, my husband and I went to Miami, and we very specifically wanted to stay right on South Beach. There's a lot of hotels there, and there were chains available. We really fell in love with the Marriott Stanton South Beach, and we knew we wanted to stay there. The Marriott points price was really high. And as I mentioned before, Marriott points are about half a cent a point in value. So in general, transferring, say, Chase points to Marriott, not a great idea because I know I can get minimum 1 cent per point for my Chase points and very often a lot more than that. And so transferring those points to Marriott where the points are only worth about half a cent just didn't make sense. I didn't really have Marriott points. I don't have any Marriott co-branded cards. And so we decided to book the hotel with cash. Same idea. We used Rakuten to earn extra points. So in this case, Marriott had a higher points multiplier on Rakuten. So I went to Rakuten, clicked through to the Marriott site, booked directly with Marriott on cash, and then earned points both from the credit card that I used and through Rakuten. We had a great stay, and then I earned a bunch of Marriott points as well from booking through their loyalty program, and then using the points that we earned from that cash stay to book an airport hotel for another upcoming trip. So remember, it really is okay to book with cash also, and sometimes it makes more sense to do so. Hopefully now you have an idea of the process that makes the most sense when thinking about booking hotels with points. Booking a hotel is a really great way to get started turning your points into free travel. There's a lot of different ways to do this, but booking directly through a partner is generally my favorite way to get the best value. But as we discussed, there often are other ways to do this too, and those can make sense. With many points hotel bookings, cancellation fees are often zero. Check the fine print first, though, when you're booking. So it's easy in general to book speculatively and then cancel if you have to adjust your plans later. Let me know how you've used your points to book hotel stays. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram for lots of extra tips. And if you're getting value from this podcast, give me a rating and leave a comment. That really helps my podcast grow. Happy booking! Thank you for listening to Straight to the Points. If you're looking for more tips and tricks or travel inspiration, you can find me on Instagram at straighttothepoints.podcast. If you have any questions about earning or using your points, send me an email. I might include your question on a future episode. You can reach me at straighttothepoints.podcast@gmail.com. Please also send me your points success stories. I would love to hear from you. If you are thinking about applying for a points earning credit card, I would appreciate you using my referral links to sign up. Head to straighttothepointspodcast.com and click on card referral links. If you are getting value from this podcast, I would be so happy if you would leave me a 5-star review and a comment wherever you listen. If you want to further support the podcast, click on support on the website main menu where there is a link to my Buy Me a Coffee account where you can leave me a tip to help support the podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you next time on Straight to the Points.